Friends, when I go live and people start asking about Tomorrowland, one of the number one things that always comes up is some fan that's hopeful that one day Tron Lightcycle Run will make its way to Disneyland. Today I'm going to explain why that is the worst plan ever, and I'm going to try to convince you why you would never want that to happen. Take a walk and let me explain to you why Tron is amazing at Magic Kingdom. It has no business here at all. And this also has nothing to do with the film failing. It has everything to do with Disneyland's charm and how Tron Lightcycle Run works directly against it. And look, I get it. It looks amazing at Shanghai and out at Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World. But don't let that beautiful facade and the enticement of a thrilling attraction fool you. You don't want it here. I'm going to prove that. Because as nice as it fits in those other parks, this is just a different kind of animal. This is a theme park landlocked by a city that accidentally sprouted up all around it. We're talking about two different types of environments. But aside from that, pretending that they built it on the outermost edge of Disneyland, whether that be the northern edge or the eastern edge, I'm going to break down to you exactly how it would not fit here. Because when you look at the measurements, it starts to become very, very obvious why this is, I think, a pretty bad idea. Are these guys literally just doing figure eights in their EV carts? So the first place that people kind of eyeball Tron coming to here is Autopia. And even though land-wise it would fit, it would also create a ton of sacrifices. Let me break those down to you. Item number one, the peak of Tron is 78 feet tall, but the canopy that goes over the top of it is 105 feet tall. Matterhorn is 147. So yes, there is about a 40-something foot difference between the two, but the Matterhorn doesn't possess enough circumference to completely block out Tron and its glowing canopy. And if placed in this area, it would definitely hover over It's a Small World. The canopy would be able to be seen from different parts of Fantasyland, not only breaking the illusion of Fantasyland, but creating a lot of light spill that would definitely affect the way all of that feels. Like, do you really want to see a canopy of Tron over the top of Mr. Toad's mansion? I personally don't, but maybe you do. So sitting in this spot, you would have a canopy that would be very, very wide, and you would be able to see it on the east and west side of the Matterhorn, which then means that you would also be able to see this canopy while standing in the hub. So when you stood in the hub, you would see Sleeping Beauty Castle, you would see the Matterhorn, and in between the two, you would see the light canopy. And this creates a major problem. So let's backtrack. Standing over here in front of Small World, you would have the huge canopy right over in here that would totally spill over into this area and break this illusion. Right now, there's a perfect design symmetry between Small World and the Matterhorn. The two together put you inside of total fantasy escapism. The future, glowing over here, changing colors, pulsing, does not work for this. Let's take a little walk and I can show you how it gets even worse. So you come out of Fantasyland and then you stare right over in here and you just see a huge pulsing canopy. Sleeping Beauty Castle stands roughly 70 odd feet tall. So therefore, imagine something 30 feet taller. Not quite the size of the Matterhorn, but something in between. You can see the canopy in Magic Kingdom from very, very far. You can see it all around the park. And it's a much bigger, wider park where everything's stretched out. Inside the smaller footprint of Disneyland, I think that that canopy could create a lot of visual problems and really ruin the heart of the park. So Disneyland was designed to look like a movie set, and all of the little tricks are designed to create a sense of scale. And that scale works because every piece of the puzzle is placed together to strengthen the story next to it. No story stands independently on its own. They all work together like a choir of design. The perspective and scale is also used to keep the viewer from being able to see things Disney doesn't want you to see. There's a lot of blocking and framing, just like you would do on a movie set. So the moment a building from one land shows up at another, that instantly breaks the illusion. And it also breaks the idea that you're someplace very different than the real world, where we're constantly used to things always leaking and spilling in. So even though Autopia, circumference-wise, could hold the attraction, let me just show you what it would look like if Tron was placed on the furthest northern edge of the park. Say goodbye to the lagoon, say goodbye to Autopia, and say goodbye to the path right behind me. Literally, to make it fit, we are talking about pushing right into this path. Maybe the whole path stays, maybe half the path stays, but almost touching the Matterhorn to make Tron Lightcycle Run fit at Disneyland. That would be insane. So now that we've done the math on Autopia, let's go to the location that people mention the most. People are like, hey Brickey, what if they switched out Launch Bay with Tron? Great idea, until you really look at the logistics and then you realize, horrible idea. Because literally everything I just walked through would have to be eliminated because Tron would go right up to the edge of the Galactic Grill. So if it were to be placed where the old Carousel of Progress building is currently, the canopy would be so wide, again, not taller than the Matterhorn, but much wider than the Matterhorn. And it would essentially still have to take out the lagoon. I mean, you don't want Space Mountain removed. So put it as close to the Space Mountain as we can, keeping it over on the harbor edge of the park and the northern edge of the park. We're literally talking about taking out everything in this back corner. It would be huge. It would obscure tons and tons of views. And then when we start to think about what the future of this property could be, do you want to give up that much land for one attraction? Because even though this building seems big, this building is just a drop in the bucket on how big the Tron footprint needs to be. So essentially, you would lose whatever potential you have here, the restaurant, everything up to the edge of Space Mountain, going all the way over to Galactic Grill. Now I know right now you're like, I'd give it all up because it's all trash. But think about a future where it's not all trash. Would you want to give up so many potential new experiences for one? So literally everything in this area that I'm standing in becomes Tron. And that would mean that they would probably have to get rid of Galactic Grill. And if they take out that building, then is there enough room for Buzz Lightyear? I bring this up because a lot of people just, thinking off the cuff, it feels like a good swap out. Get rid of a big building that's doing absolutely nothing for anybody and put in a world-class attraction. That sounds awesome. But when you look at the logistics, you're just not going to make it work without A, erasing so much of the present, but B, and this is the important part, ruining your future potential. But really what we're talking about here is the difference between Disneyland and Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. And I think ultimately, even though they do clone lots of attractions, I think many of us like the idea of every park having something that is exclusive to that park, especially when we think about e-tickets, right? Every Disney park should have its own signature set of e-tickets that separates it from the rest. Florida is big, it's wide, it has the room for this type of expansion. But Disneyland was built for sightlines and storytelling. It's a whole different ball game here. I mean, the size of their Space Mountain versus ours will tell you everything about how you have to massage an attraction to get it to fit at home at Disneyland. So even though, yeah, it technically could fit here, my question to you is, would you be willing to sacrifice everything that it would entail to have this attraction? As it stands right now, as being a massive building and experience, to go to the speeds that make it feel as incredible as it does. And I've ridden it, it's a great ride, but it's a ride that lasts 1 minute. So as it stands now, would you be willing to blow away everything here today and everything that could come tomorrow for a 1 minute attraction? And for anybody who says, make it smaller, are you rooting for a 30-second roller coaster? Because that's essentially what you would get if it had to be chopped in half. Look, I hate the state of Sorrowland just as much as anybody does. But would you really be willing to give up Autopia, the submarines, and the potential for the future for an attraction that's less than the time it takes you to go up the lift hill at Space Mountain? I mean, think about it. It's an insane trade-off. And I feel like when people say this, it's a very short-sighted resolution for a very long-term problem. Tomorrowland here is broken. I'm not denying that at all. But I also want it to be fixed in an appropriate way that gives lots of different options for lots of different types of guests to enjoy, not just one thrill-seeking roller coaster that literally would eat up half of the entire space available. And that is the reality of when people ask for cloned attractions. Some things just don't fit in another park, and they shouldn't. But I, for one, would love for Tron to be something that I only get to experience when I head out east. And then when I see it, I'm like, wow, this thing's amazing. And I like to walk underneath it. I like to watch people enjoy it. Like, it really is something that fits way better than I ever imagined. But I'm telling you right now, I cannot imagine it ever fitting here. The space of Tomorrowland at Disneyland doesn't need one big attraction. It needs lots of different offerings. This plot of land, if you think about it, might be the most expensive land that the Disney Corporation owns. It is the biggest acreage inside of Disneyland, one of the most sought after places on planet Earth. And there's all this acreage in here that needs to be demoed and brought back into a new land or multiple lands. This is one of the most valuable things that Disney has for its future. You don't want to blow it on one mega ride. You want it to adapt to all kinds of different experiences. Maybe themed around the future, maybe not, but definitely Disneyland thrives on diversity of attractions. It's a different place in Magic Kingdom, and it should always be designed and thought of as that. So yes, let's hope for a big, beautiful tomorrow, and let's hope for one that is original, something that makes Disneyland shine again, and something that makes people want to visit this park, because whatever happens here is uniquely only available at Disneyland. So for all of those in the chat that say, what about putting Tron Lightcycle Run at Disneyland? I hope today's video allowed you to see why it just doesn't work. But I'm sure you'll tell me they could dig it down deeper, they could make it smaller. Like, I'm sure you'll have some sort of reaction on how it could work. But realistically speaking, and that's what I always do, as a designer, somebody who breaks down the parks from a business perspective, but also a design perspective, I'm telling you right now, it is not possible. Not with integrity, that is. And the cool thing about this video is now I finally have a link that I can share with people. When they drop this in the chat, I can be like, just watch this. I'm not going to explain it anymore. So friends, did I convince you, or do you still think there's some way to make it work? Would love to hear your comments in the bottom. A lot of the times I like to try to make these a conversation. This one I'm not making a conversation because I feel in my bones that it wouldn't work. But sometimes you just need somebody to kind of break it down in detail and explain it to you. Hopefully I did just that. So instead of one mega attraction, check out this video right here on my other channel where I break down in great detail when they almost built Lucasport and built a ton of attractions in this very space. And one of them would have been the most ambitious roller coaster Disney ever made around the theme of Star Wars. Thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate you.